Gods and goddesses have returned. They have been resurrected and pulled from the Neb-Ankh sarcophagus by the hand of Atum Re, our own authority of this day and time. Now take a seat. Sit back and listen to one of the master's students, Sekhem, Ami, Meduty, one raised by the Master of Masters, as he teaches the liberation information of this day and time. Nuwapu. It is truly our time.
أنت تعرف قلبي كل اللي يا حبيبي أنه أسمع أنت تعرف كل شيء.
www.nwapuinc.com.
They put a new law on the books. And it's funny because when they put the law on the books, y'all remember they had these forest fires going on in California that they said, you know, whether people know it or not, they actually caught guys going around setting those fires. They didn't try to put on a little kid, but they caught them before that. If you had paid attention to the news, look at the real news, right? Not the news you see on Channel 2, Channel 5, 8, 12, whatever. You go and you look at what they refer to as the Associated Press, right? Meaning you're getting the news prior to them chopping it up and editing it. You know, sometimes you look and you say, it'll say 2 minutes, just then 2 minutes ago, right? And sometimes you take the news and you take what just came in 2 to 5 minutes ago. Now wait till that story is re-put back out again a day, right, or a couple of hours or a day later. You'll see a totally different story. You'll see after they have chopped it up and edited it up. But anyway, if you had paid attention to the real news, you will learn that, or via the internet, that's going to lead me into what I want to inform you about. If you go and you look at the internet, they have a problem with the internet. If you go and you look at the real news on the internet, you'll find out that they caught guys going around setting those fires because the Illuminati is doing that, or the so-called elite is doing that. They're trying to corral all the animals inland, right? Because they know what's about to happen to the shores, right? Only ignorant people don't know and still moving to the shores of North America, right? Because they don't take global warming seriously. They don't realize that, right? You got people that are living in the Antarctic right now, right? People living near the poles, that their whole environment has changed. Their whole way of life has changed. They have to start migrating out of the North Pole because the way of life and the things that they were depending on, such as certain whales and certain seals, and certain species that were there, they can't live there no more because all the ice is melting. You follow? Now once this ice melts, bottoms up ice, once the meltdown happens, all the water takes over the shores. So they're burning all of that land to push those animals inland. But while they were burning all that land, they were focusing on those fires every weekend. I mean, every during the week, every day, all day. It's on the news, it's in the media about they were in Congress passing a bill, right? Passing a law, right? That now they can say what is referred to as radical information or radical groups, right? Or anyone that's considered radical, anyone that's articulating a message to people that they consider radical, and they're the judges of whether or not this is radical. Now this is tacked on to the Patriot Act, or with Homeland Security, Department of Homeland Security, right? So once they tack it onto that, if you know anything about those laws, when you deal with the Patriot Act laws, there's no oversight. Meaning they can come in right now with this message we're talking about that they deem radical and anti-government, right? Take me, you, or whoever out of here, and you don't have to have legal representation, right? They don't have to tell your family where you're at. They don't have to tell anyone where you're at, where you're located, right? They can torture you, because that's the whole thing. They had torture laws and that. So what people consider the New World Order as conspiracy theories, there's no more conspiracy theory. You follow? This is a fact what they're doing. You follow what I'm saying? They passed this bill, they passed. It's not in, it's passed. You follow what I'm saying? Also, they just recently, you watch C-SPAN, right? They had a sub-house committee meeting. Now this is congressmen. These are your congressmen who you vote for. The master teacher taught us years ago about this thing called Congress. Look at the word, get back to etymology, right? If we're doing something that's moving us forward, that's called progress. Now, if you're doing something that's against progress, that will be considered con. Con is against. That's why they say you got your pros and your cons. Well, Congress has nothing to do with you progressing. So Congress they had this sub-house committee meeting, and members of Congress, they've gotten together, and the people that sit on the panel for this particular group of congressmen that's over this particular segment, because you notice, if you know that different congressmen are over different sections or different boards or committees. Like the guy that just recently called for Creflo Dollar and them to be audited. He's over the House Finance Committee. They're the group responsible for so-called defending against terrorism, right? So the people that they had on the panel were people from RAND Corporation, from different internet technology corporations, right? Now, RAND Corporation, if you remember, RAND Corporation is responsible for a lot of projects that the Department of Defense carry out, such as the digging of those tunnels for the underground city that exists now, that you don't know anything about, that they currently have masses of people living under there. They have a society, this country has a society underground. And these tunnels are connected to other societies, to other countries. So they have already prepared and picked their group to make this shift. You follow? To survive the cataclysm that are befalling this planet and will get worse. They've already picked them. You're not included. So don't ask where they at. You're not including that plan. RAND Corporation responsible for putting the money for digging those tunnels. You follow? They're responsible for the programs that the Illuminati carry out. Alright? Now, on this panel, now they're saying that 9/11, the 9/11 conspiracy theorists, and they actually showed a video. You gotta see this. They show a video, right? And I'll email it to you guys. I'll email you the link. They actually showed a video. These brothers drove all the way down from Ohio, by the way, right? So they showed the video where they're saying that what are some of the 9/11 movies that came out? Loose Change, Michael Moore, Fahrenheit. That was a weak version. They got documentaries that make Fahrenheit 9/11 look. He buttered that up. They love Michael Moore. Some fat, overweight white guy, you know. He ain't tell nothing on that. You go Loose Change, Freedom to Fascism, Zeitgeist movie, all of them. They're documentaries that are coming out that 9/11 is out. 9/11 was an inside job. But this is what they were saying in this panel. They were saying that the people that are putting out this information via the internet are the real terrorists. They're now considered terrorists now. Now this is a sub-house committee meeting. This is what they're saying about the American public who just want the truth to get out. These are the real homegrown terrorists. These are the people we have to worry about. And the vehicles that they're using, the two main vehicles that they're using, in this sub-house committee meeting, are YouTube and MySpace.
So you're a terrorist.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't never burned one flag in my hell. I ain't never owned a flag in my life. Well, I'm gonna tell you know what I'm saying? Right? They say YouTube and MySpace are considered terrorist training grounds. This is in Congress. And while this is going on, these people are out here talking about Black Friday and how many bills they can get on sales the day after Thanksgiving. When the very people that are trying to inform you, your only hope, y'all ignoring because y'all want to go out and shop, right? And have holy days, their holy days. Their holy days ain't got nothing to do with our holy days. You ask the Native Americans, is that a holy day for them? They don't holy day for them. That's how ignorant the cracker is, right? You still have this holiday based on massacring, right, a whole species of people. You follow what I'm saying? But this is the thing. This is what they're doing. This stuff is happening right under these people's noses. Right under your nose. Nobody's saying anything. Nobody's saying anything about it. And the only vehicle or voice that you have that's trying to alert you, you follow, the only way it can get out to masses of people, the internet, which is a revolution in itself, which is something you can sit on, right, type in a word, and get worlds of information on it. That's the way your brain works, if you didn't know that. That's how memory works. You think of a topic in your brain, right? And it depends on your ability or your inability, or inability to access the information dictates how much you pull forth. You call it memory. You follow? And that's why memory is important. The exercising of it, right? The grooming of it, the cultivating of your memory, because that's how you retrieve information. You retrieve thoughts, right? That deems whether or not you can be accurate, right? Or you can be effective as a communicator or as a teacher, your ability or inability to access information. So when someone asks you a question, right, the key to you informing them to the best of your ability is you extracting what you digested via reading, through learning from someone teaching it to you, life's experience, etc., being able to go and extract that information. Well, that's how a computer works. Right? Your brain is a holographic computer. So because you're revolving, that they call evolution, right? Your evolving was happening at such a slow rate, there were extraterrestrials that stepped in, right? And sped you up by giving you technology like the computer. Now this was done via what you refer to as telepathic communications. From beings that vibrate on a higher density, right? And also through certain crashes of these extraterrestrials, they tell you were accidental, and they're not. They learn how to pull the switch back in the Philadelphia experiment. They learn how to pull the switch to snatch beings or extraterrestrials from other density levels into this one, and they will crash. Because they know they're up there, they just vibrate at another frequency, and they learn to throw a switch, a magnetic switch, through the Philadelphia experiment and pull them in and cause those crashes. And they take the technology from those crashes and they reverse engineer it. They do something called reverse engineering, right? That's a term when, say you're at a war and the enemy, you capture certain of the enemy's weapons, right? You take those weapons and you utilize them back against the enemy. Well, what they're doing is they're taking that technology, because it's high technology in there. These crafts have no seams, they don't have motors, you know what I'm saying? They don't have no oil dripping from them. This is high technology. They took it, and back in the 40s, right? In 45 to 47, when they were crashing those vehicles on up until the day, they were taking that technology and they utilized the technology to create different things that sped this society up. One in particular was the integrated circuit. You follow? Now with the integrated circuit, what has happened? The computer is new. And it went from something that was the size of, that was the width of this table and taller than me, right? To something that's as small as the little phones they got. You follow? And it went from that in 50 years. Something that we couldn't conceive to have in this society in hundreds of years, in 50 years, that's what happened with the initial invention of it. Other things came about, such as what you refer to as night vision goggles, right? And they got that technology from the extraterrestrials that they found in the crashes they had an extra lens over their eyes, right? A natural lens that gave them the ability to filter UV light or to see into the UV light spectrum. You follow? You know what I'm saying? So that your night vision goggles that gives you the ability to see as clearly at night as you can during the day. You know what I'm saying? They got all this from those crashes, and this was information that was speeding up the society because you are not revolving or advancing fast enough at a fast enough pace to meet up with beings that are trying to interface with you. This is why this is being done. So the internet was a gift from the elders, a flow of information, right, that he doesn't want you to have. You follow what I'm saying? Now they're making an attempt to cut you off from that. That's why they're trying to censor the internet, right? People don't realize this is intentional, right? This is part of the war. Now, while you have it at your disposal, you need to use it to learn as much as you need to learn, right? And that's why they're trying to control the internet. They can't, because the flow of information, as soon as something come out, you get it on that net, and you can go home right now, and there's a message that you want to get out to the whole world. You go, email it off, boom, nobody can stop it. Immediately, like that, it's in the home of billions, not billions, billions. That's how powerful the internet is, that particular medium. You follow? And now they're trying to disrupt it because the flow of information is causing the polarities of people to change. What do I mean by polarity? It's causing you to think a certain way. It's causing you to say, I don't know if that's true or not. That didn't happen before. At the rate and the pace that is happening now. That's what the internet is doing. That's what those documentaries are doing. So now they're setting up to stop it via this whole act of war on terrorism. So now there has to be a new terrorist. Because I thought Osama bin Laden, whatever his name, Osama, whatever his name, they got all his names. I thought Osama bin Laden was the terrorist. I thought he was the terrorist. I thought he was the guy we were looking for. The Phantom Menace, they call it. Nobody don't know where he at. He in some cave somewhere. You follow? So the terrorists have shifted from that to now the terrorists are right here in this country. The American public. Now you're the terrorists.
On and raised right here.
Right here. You are undermining the stability of the United States by telling the truth. That's what they say. By uncovering the truth, you're undermining the stability of the United States. So what does that tell you? The United States, if truth is undermining it or causing it to unravel at the seams, that means this country obviously was built on what? There we go. They're telling you what this was about. You follow what I'm saying? It's deep, go ahead.
I've tried to send emails to you all within the past week, and twice it's told me servers too busy.
Came back.
Came back.
Yeah, I'm finding that a lot. What I did was, it's funny you said that. It's funny you said that. I started sending emails to myself from another email, and they weren't getting to me. Right? They were coming right back, and I go, hold up, what happened? So I did it a couple more times. Remember I was like, I didn't get the email, so I go back and look at my outbox, it's still sitting in there. It came back and it says, my email address, whatever, .net, it's saying that we made so many attempts, we can't make any more attempts, and it's come back. You follow what I'm saying? They're playing games. But this is the thing, that's just where this is going. And I thought I'd bring that up because I don't know if a lot of people know that this is taking place. These things are taking place. They're not playing. The master teacher warned us over 30 years ago about this stuff. And now you still got people sitting around, right, twiddling their thumbs, saying either I don't know what to do, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that, and all of it has to do with being here. You follow what I'm saying? So.
It's funny that you talk about 9/11. I was doing a lot of reading on calendars and time, and I'm trying to get a better understanding of that. And so this is where I'm confused. huge. It said that this is, in the Ethiopian calendar, it's the year 2000. So according to them, right now it's year 2000. And then it said, their year 2001 will begin on September 11th, 2008. And that's of the Gregorian calendar. So does that September 11th, as I started to read, I kept seeing September 11th. Does that have significance to what happened here?
Good question. Good question. The reason that's a good question is because people don't realize that, and this is where a lot of the misinformation, right, or what they thought was misinformation. People were saying, well, the master teacher said this was supposed to happen in 2000. The master teacher said this was supposed to happen in 2003. And what they were doing, they were going by his distorted time. You don't know by the Gregorian, first of all, there is no Gregorian calendar anymore. You don't know what the date. If you try to go by Gregorian time or Roman or Caucasian time, you will be totally thrown off. Why do I say that? Right? How often during the year do you set time back an hour and set it forward an hour? You follow? Then you have leap years. So when you're trying to calculate these events by using his wagut or time, you're thrown off and nothing happens according to that time because he adjusts it. He's allowed to adjust it every year. You follow what I'm saying? And that's why people don't realize that 2003, right, was really the year 2000. You follow? Right now, 2007 is really what? Because you got 4 years from that. This is 2004. According to, if not, this is time taken back from what he's been extracting and adding to it. Now, on top and beyond that time period, the reason why we were supposed to be going by our time, which is calculated by natural time. You have two forms of time. One is fake and one is real time. Right? When you're trapped in his time zones, you're trapped into his way of living, his way of thinking. And that's why you're starting to experience missing time now. You're waking up on Friday and it's like, it's Friday? What happened to Wednesday and Tuesday? Alright? Is that happening? You're breaking out of his time. You're not connected or synced in with his time anymore. His time zone. You're breaking out of it. You follow? Our time is calculated on natural events. You follow? When you take a sundial, right? And you set that sundial up to calculate the motion of the sun throughout the day, and you utilize that to calculate your time, that's a natural event that cannot be altered. That's why they have to set time forward and back, because it's set, and nothing in nature is set. It varies. There's variables in it. You follow? That variable we call change. The only thing that's constant in the universe is change. You follow? So when you're calculating time by natural events such as the sun, it can never be off because you're always going by something that's constant or constantly moving or in motion. Right? So that's why the set time on your clock or watch, right, is off from that. And that's why now your clock may say noon or 9, which is the highest point. But you go outside and the sun is not at its highest point yet. Around 3 or 4 o'clock is more likely. Because now he can't speed it up or slow it down fast enough anymore. Time is now, right, collapsing. Time is now to the point where you look at your watch and it says 11:30 and you look at it 10 minutes later, it's 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. What used to be an hour is now only 15 minutes. You listen? 15 minutes. Because this time is now collapsing to create a new time scale, a new time zone. Your time-space reality is now collapsing to create a new dimension.
www.nawapuinc.com.
You're now crossing over from the 3rd to the 4th dimension. When you do this, you're going through a time warp. You follow? And when you're going through a warp or a vortex, the same way as when you let water out of the tub and it creates that swirling vortex, right? Initially it's small. First initially you don't even see it. But as more water leaves the tub, right, and there's less water and more air, that vortex starts to form, right? And as the more and more water comes, the vortex gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like a tornado. You follow? And it gets faster. Initially it's slower. Then it gets faster. The more it collapses, the more the water leaves, it gets faster and bigger. Well, that's what's happening to your time-space relationship. That's what's happening to matter right now. It's speeding up. It's getting closer. That point of interface is near. And at time, and because this time zone or this relationship of time and space on matter is collapsing and a new one is being formed or created, right? This time no longer would be relevant to you. And that's why you're starting to detach from it. Now, what he's doing, he set out to magnify his form of devilment by attaching you to it so you won't detach from it. So you'll constantly be trapped in his time, which will put you in his level or his frame of mind as far as person, place, and thing. You'll be constantly trapped into the physical realm that he vibrates on. Because you're now advancing from the third or three-dimensional reality, person, place, and things, right? And now you're crossing over to the fourth dimension, the mental realm, right? Which completes you as a being and puts you into the realm of now, right? And that's the whole concept of now is a process of completion. You follow of moving from one frequency of vibration, right, to the next, which is a higher from the third density to the fourth density. You follow? And that's what's happening with this planet. And because the time-space relationship links in or ties in to what you refer to as the biorhythms of the planet. The biorhythm, anybody know what the biorhythm of the planet is? Okay, put it this way. Let me take it outside of biorhythms. The electromagnetic field of the planet. The planet has a field, right, of electromagnetic field that surrounds this planet. Well, your planet, right, as your planet is going through this change, the electromagnetic field or grid of the planet is changing. Well, the electromagnetic field or grid of the planet is what gives you the ability to look the way you look. You follow? It controls how you look as a biological species. And as it is changing, you must change. You follow? So now, the electromagnetic field of the planet starts to talk to your DNA or communicate with it, right? Via the sun. The sun sends the frequency or the signal to communication to the planet, and the planet sends it to you, right? And because you're supposed to be aligned with the planet, it's supposed to be a clear signal, a clear channel. So you're supposed to be vibrating at the rate of the planet. But the problem is you're not. Because he's sending out a frequency, right, that's distorting your frequency. You're supposed to be vibrating at a biorhythm of 8, which is the vibration of the planet. See that, Tony? You hear that? That's the way the planet vibrates, right? You're supposed to be on that frequency. And as long as you're on that frequency, there's a message that could be sent to you to tell you what to do and where to go when things get beyond repair. You're supposed to be receiving that message right now. And that goes back to what I was trying to tell y'all earlier. What you're receiving, what you're being told and communicated may not be what that brother's being told and communicated. There's nothing you can do about that. You follow? And he's not doing anything wrong and you're not doing anything wrong. He's doing what he's being told to do. You're doing what you're being told to do. You follow? It's just certain people's frequencies, the communications are not clear. They're not concise. They're distorted. You follow? So their message is to do something else. And that's what they need to be doing, what they're being told. You follow? But you're supposed to be vibrating at a certain frequency that will allow you, right, and your oversoul to be told what to do, right? Not only to know where to be and what to do, but how you're supposed to shift with this dimensional and genetic shift, because it's a dimensional and a genetic shift. You follow what I'm saying? So you're supposed to be aligned to the point to know exactly what to do. You follow what I'm saying? And Nuwapu was designed to help raise that frequency, along with certain other practices to help raise. So Nuwapu, along with the new atmosphere, which is the new energy that's permeating the planet right now, which is something else they ain't telling people about. They are now saying that there's cosmic rays, right, or energy coming to this planet that didn't originate from the sun. This energy is bombarding this planet now, right? Which is triggering the changes that you're seeing, called cataclysms or natural disasters. It's being triggered by an external force on the planet that's been exerted on the planet. And it's not the sun that's doing it, this sun is doing it. They know it. They know that you're about to align with the center of the galaxy. You know what I'm saying? It's a galactical alignment. And so when you're dealing with time and how they calculate it, their time was designed to be off. So you will be off and not know, right, when this time period or your awakening was supposed to be happening again. We charted it by natural events. You know, when you have a sundial, that's a natural event. When you deal with solar biology, referred to as the Vendetta or the Zodiac, in the Bible they refer to it as Mazareth. You look it up in Mazareth, that's talking about the alignment of the stars a certain way, right? And we will read it and know where we were at in relation to the galaxy and the universe. And we will know when now we're going into a summer or solar cycle in the galaxy. You follow? The highest point, Atum, right? And that time will come once this celestial body and this celestial body would line up a certain way. That would tell us, well, it's time for the alignment again. We would know it's time to migrate to a certain spot that will allow us to align the best and be prepared for that transition. To know what spot or part of the planet. And that's why the pyramids and those temples are set up, and those ziggurats in Sumer and in South America was set up in certain strategic spots. You follow? And that ties into the meridians and the ley lines on the planet. They were set up in certain spots that had more of a focus or concentration of energy at that spot, called vortices or vortexes. You follow what I'm saying? And that would allow us to move through the densities, right, at an easier pace, or transition at an easier pace. You follow? Because other spots on the planet were more dangerous and more cataclysms could happen on that part of the planet. You follow what I'm saying? So we knew where to go. We knew where the safe spots were. You follow what I'm saying? So that's why they wanted, or they are throwing time off so you won't know what time it is. You will not know what to do. They wanted to throw your genes off. They wanted to throw your mind off. They wanted to throw your body off. They wanted to throw your spirit off so you wouldn't be in sync to know what to do. Because they're finding out now that birds migrate, right? Or their migration is controlled by the electromagnetic grid of the planet. Birds have a sensor in them that tell them where to go, which direction, and when to go. They're finding out that the electromagnetic field of the planet, right? They're finding out that this field has or plays a greater part in the biological species than they knew about before. And that's why these whales are beaching themselves. Because what they're doing now is they have the HARP program set up, and this is dangerous. They have a HARP program set up. Everybody know about the HARP. Well, HARP is set up to interfere with the ionosphere, right? Which in turn interferes with the electromagnetic grid or the field of the planet. Because they found out that biological species are basically androids. Meaning that if I can control the field of the planet, I can control the mind of the species on the planet. This is how far he's going. And they found out that's why those whales and those different sea creatures are beaching themselves, because the grid is thrown off. They don't know what to do because they use the grid, right, to tell them nature. Because the grid, the field of the planet is the mind of the planet. Why do I say that? Your tepi or aura is dictated by what? What you're thinking. You call it a mood. You know what I'm saying? So that frequency, whatever frequency your brain is on dictates your atmosphere or your electromagnetic field, your hala, aura. Well, the planet has a hala or aura. You follow? And whatever the planet is going through, go back to those changes that are being triggered by external forces. The electromagnetic field goes through. That's the mind of the atmosphere of the planet. So it communicates to the species. Well, what he's trying to stop the communication. He's trying to say, no, don't do what that sun is telling you to do. Do what we're telling you to do. So he's fighting the planet. So the planet, the native, right, now have to go through extreme measures to fight him on our behalf. Because if they don't, right, he'll destroy the planet. And they're not going to let that happen. You follow what I'm saying? It will be destruction, but it will be destruction to stop him from what he's doing. He has to be thrust back into the caveman days and sent back into the caves, underground. That's what they have to do to him. Because he's fighting or tapping into something he doesn't have the necessary link to an emotional nature or an oversoul to know how detrimental, how detrimental it is to things that he's doing. He doesn't. So he has to be thrust. So with that heart program, he's starting to interfere with the growth and the transition or the advancement of the planet. He's trying to stop it because he knows that this advancement means that his rule is up.
Did you get the email that I sent about Will Smith's movie, I Am Legend?
I Am Legend, yeah.
You familiar with it?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with it. Yeah. It seems like it's going to be a good movie. And you notice they always put him in those movies. They always lining him up in those movies. Independence Day, iRobot.
I didn't know if you know about Zachariah Station, getting locked up or whatever.
Yeah, they were supposed to say he got locked up or whatever.
If you had any more insight on that, or as far as any information that you had on that?
Not a whole lot. All I can say is, as far as with Zachariah, with him, and that's the whole thing. There are people like him because all of that is a part of sending people in a certain direction, and they're trying to stop that. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of weird things that are gonna start happening now. Even with the people that we feel that are on his side, there's a lot of internal fighting going on with him right now. You know what I'm saying? That's why the CIA is fighting the government, right? Because they, the government outed that CIA agent. When they came back and now all this other stuff is popping up. There's another cabinet member that resigned. Now they wrote a book saying that Bush lied about the CIA. So there's a lot of internal fighting. Zachariah Sitchin, just one person that he was sending people in a certain direction. You know what I'm saying? Even if all the information wasn't exactly totally correct, right? But he was sending people down a train of thought, removing them out of the spell of religion. You know what I'm saying? So, that could be very possible that they arrested him, for that matter. But, that's just what's going on now. That ties back to what we were talking about earlier. That kind of stuff is considered, they can label that as terrorism. You're a threat. You know what I'm saying? They now define the nature of the threat now. Right? When you saw those guys down in Florida, right, get put on the front page of the newspapers and say that they were terrorists. Have y'all heard anything else about that? Do y'all know where those guys are at? See, that's what happens. Right? And they were just somebody they picked out, and they found that those guys didn't even have a stick to hit nobody with. Didn't have the money to do it if they were planning on doing it. And they found out they were coerced into doing it. You know what I'm saying? And now that face can be put on and said that these are radical terrorists. You know what I'm saying? So they're just setting a mold, right, in place to say, okay, this is who we go after. These are the people that's a danger to what we're doing, right? And that's how dangerous Nuwapu becomes to them. You know what I'm saying? because it's now sending you on a path to where you start to seek more. You start to look into things, and that's what they don't want. Zachariah Stinson, which is one of many people that was putting out that kind of information. David, like all of them. You know what I'm saying? And they're doing that here. This is what they're doing in the country. They're panicking. You're seeing the country in panic mode, and you're seeing the rise of it right now. It's going to get worse because they're panicking. And then right now they have so many enemies. They don't have time to think about you right now. You know what I'm saying? He has so many enemies. He got China, right, who just didn't want one of their warships to come into their country. There's a reason I don't know if y'all heard about that. You got China, right, who just turned back one of their ships. You follow? You got all of these countries that don't want to deal with it. And you have the internal fight that's going on because they feel like their country is just sold out. They feel like y'all letting all the Mexicans in, right? All the niggas got the job, we don't have no job. So you have the old, dirty, backwood trailer park white boys that are out there training to take out anybody who they consider an enemy, and you're one of them. So you're about to be caught in the middle of external and internal fighting that you have nothing to do with. You know what I'm saying? Unless you prepare.
Amongst the internal and external fighting and manipulation of the ozone, the biorhythms and the atmosphere and things of that nature, how does one determine what is the correct action or the correct information that's being channeled through them to know that this is correct information? Like Zachariah Stitch, he has a lot of information for someone who doesn't have the appropriate knowledge. They'll say, okay, well, this is the right direction, even though it's a direction away from them, you know what I'm saying, or those who are trying to take information out.
Well, in Zachariah Stitch's information, he doesn't offer solutions to any problems. He's an archaeologist. You know, he's studying tablets and telling the story. You follow? And they're not telling you what they really found out. They're not telling you what they found out in Iraq when they went over there to bomb. That's why they bombed it. They bombed it because what they knew was there. What they knew they found, what they found in Iraq. You know what I'm saying? That's why they bombing these places. That's why they bombing Iraq. And where they bombed it is because the relics that they found and the information that they found. So all of this stuff, what you're seeing from Zachariah Stinson is just minute pieces of what they really found out. You follow? What they really found out is why they're doing what they're doing. When you go back and you read the Holy Tablets, right? Or the Enuma Elish, and it says Zuin. Why did he change? Let me ask you this question. Why did he change the Tablets of Destiny? Because he found out what was supposed to happen. What did he find out? What was so startling to him that made him decide to go back and change the Tablets of Destiny or alter the course of the future destiny? What made him do that? He went back and saw something that was going to trigger his demise. And that's what the Caucasian has done. He's tapped into this information and he's being told by extraterrestrials, right, about the cycle that's coming in. So that's causing him to do the things that he's doing because he knows his time is up. He's trying to extend it, which is what has been happening since 1962, right, when he got his first extension, right? And he got that extension by opening up, and that's one of the reasons why extraterrestrials want this planet, because it has so many, what you call wormholes in it, or vortexes, right, where you can walk right through, and they're finding this out now. Whenever they're telling you they're trying to fly off to another planet, that's for you to see. They found out about not only stargates, but portholes or vortexes on the planet. That's why extraterrestrials, one of the reasons they want this planet is because of the vast electromagnetic energy on the planet that ties into all the vortexes in it. You follow? And these are vortexes or doorways you can walk right through, right, and go to another dimension. You can travel interdimensionally through these doors. Babylon was one. That's why it was referred to as Babylon, doorway to Ilion. You follow? So that was just one spot. Giza was another spot that they called Giza in Tamaray. Right, just one spot. These doorways, they found out these doorways are all over the planet. You follow? And so what they're doing is they're by finding out, right, that these wormholes exist, right? These are doorways that they're trying to go through, right? To travel, but they're finding out they can't do it. They need certain technology, and that's what their whole communication with these extraterrestrials, and they're trying to say. But in 1966, they opened up a vortex because they found this out, that each planet, this goes into quantum physics, which is something the master teacher has been trying to teach us for years. In 1966, they opened up what's referred to as the sixth vortex to the sixth planet. What's the sixth planet? Saturn. The sixth planet is Saturn. Start studying this. They opened up that, they know that there's a doorway on this planet to Saturn. You follow? There's a gateway. And they opened up this gateway to pull in that energy or the gas. Remember, Saturn is not a planet. It's a ball of gas. 6 ether gas. Titan is the planet. And they just recently said that they're receiving signals from Titan. Don't believe me, go check it out. They are now receiving signals from the planet Titan. And they're saying that, well, that's coming from the electromagnetic field of Titan because it has a field just like the planet Earth has a field. It has an atmosphere. You follow? They took pictures of it. It looks just like the planet Earth, right? So they opened up a doorway that pulled in energy from that planet where beings from extraterrestrials from that density came in and started to incarnate on this planet, which led to those 13 children being born that are being groomed, right? And one of those children being raised by Nixon and being raised in Belgium, which is why you see all of the crabs, those triangular shaped crabs over there. Because they're protecting that particular child. That's the child that's tapped into all of these computer systems that are being set up. You follow what I'm saying? And he's warning them about what's happening. You follow? That's the one that they are taking orders from. Right? And they allowed this to happen by opening up. And that's what happened in 1973 or the 1970s, because that vortex opens every 10 years. You follow? And that's how these beings get here. And you start to see them, if you look at them, you'll start to see them, you'll start to see that they're here to alter or to guide the course of humanity down a certain direction. I'll tell you about one of them. The guy, what's his name? His name is Anthony Robbins. Anybody know who that guy is? Tall, tan skin, right? And he's what's referred to as a motivational speaker. He always talking about the inner being and self-motivation, success in life, right? If you look at him, he's a Venerean. You follow what I'm saying? Like I said, tall guy, right? He was in the movie Shallow Hal. He's the one that was sitting with him on the elevator and talked him into, it was the whole visualization thing where he can see what he wanted to see. He started to see inside of a person and not outside of a person. So that's the whole hookup. Him, the other guy, L. Ron Hubbard, the Dianetics guy, right? So yeah, Anthony Robbins, he's a Venerean. L. Ron Hubbard is a Pleiadian. You follow? And he's here for the Ashtar command. And he's the one that's over the Scientology community. He's the one that started the Scientology. L. Ron Hubbard, right? And he had the book called Dianetics. Now, if you look in the news, Christian churches, black Christian churches are starting to look to Scientology for answers, to guide their people. This is in the news. Black Christian preachers, because the Bible doesn't have the answers, and they quoted one pastor saying, he said, when my people ask me, right, or thank me for the information I gave them, they don't ask me where it came from. They just tell me, thank you, and you helped me. So he's saying, I didn't get it from the Bible, so the Bible didn't have the answers. I went to Scientology. Well, Scientology, right, or L. Ron Hubbard is not here for our people. You follow? That's not our doctrine. What's been sent here to guide us to where we're supposed to be and put us where we're supposed to be is Nuwapu. That's our spiritual science. Each race has a spiritual science. That's because each race has a vibration, a vibratory level. When you incarnated here, you incarnated with a 0 time reference, a tone reference, and a vibrational rate. How you vibrate, how your molecules vibrate. You follow? You can't do the same things another race does, or you can't follow the same laws of train of thought because you naturally don't follow the same train of thought. That's why you think differently. That's why you don't bungee jump. Because there's something in you that says, I'm not risking breaking every bone in my body and getting shattered to pieces, hoping that when I jump on this rope, right, that it's going to catch me or pull me back. That's something higher in you that tells you not to do it. Or there's a snake. There may be a snake or some other creature in that hole that's occupying that hole. And I don't need to stick my hand in there.
Jump on the stingray's back.
Oh yeah, jump on Stingray's back. like the accident that happened to Steve Irwin. Accident. They still call that an accident. But you follow what I'm saying? So you have a different frequency that you're on. But see, these are things that he doesn't want you to realize. He doesn't want you to accept. He wants you to think that we are all the same. And that's what Christianity teaches. And that's why they're able to extract information from L. Ron Hubbard or anybody else, same way they extract information from the Bible that had nothing to do with us. You follow? You have a spiritual science. You have a doctrine for your spirit. What spirit? What they say spirit? The unseen part of me. The higher part of me. You follow? They say for every seen thing there's an unseen origin. While unseen origin works differently. We have a scientific makeup unlike other races. So you can't follow the same line of action that they follow. Because you have different forces and different energies working for you. That goes into the cycles that I was talking about earlier when you're dealing with the different cycles in nature. You follow? There's a certain energy that causes a spring cycle to come into being. Those are regenerative, renewal, resurrecting energies that have to be strong enough to pull nature from a dead state when it's in the winter cycle. Because when in the winter, nature is dead. The animals go into hibernation. The plants wither and die. The insects die off. You follow? So nature is at its lowest vibration or frequency in the winter. There's less heat. And what's heat caused by? Movement, friction, frequency. Right? So there has to be a force or energy strong enough to pull nature up from the bottom. If you got a big boulder out there, or say you put a car in neutral, right? If I got my car, I say, look, I need y'all to help me push this car. It'll take more energy for us to get the car moving. And then once the car starts to move, you know that some niggas wait till the car moves and then they come help. Car already moving. Nigga, I don't need your help now. The car already moving. So it takes less energy as the car's moving than it was to get it moving. So it takes a powerful enough force or energy to bring nature out of that dead state or that dormant state to get it to a spring cycle. You follow? And then once it gets into a spring cycle, there's a different energy that brings it and takes it and transitions it into a summer cycle, right? And there's a different energy that takes it from a summer cycle, which is the highest cycle or highest point, that's that noon point or Atum, right? The highest point, it takes it from that and declines it or deteriorates it to the fall cycle, which is why they call it fall. Because as nature gets up to this point, right? Darken that up. Sunset, sunrise. Alright, these are, excuse my heart. These are different phases in nature. So there's a different energy that's designed to bring this degree of nature into existence than this one, and a different one from this one to this one and to this one. You follow, which is the decline in nature. There's different energy. So the energy that grew the original non-ether Nubans on the planet, right? That was a totally different energy and frequency that grew the Hindu, right? And later grew the Caucasian. So you cannot approach life the same. you cannot adhere or connect with the same frequencies that they're connecting to, because those frequencies, the same way that you have opposites in nature, in the same way that winter and summer are opposites. You follow? The winter cycle and the summer cycle are extreme opposites. The two cannot exist at the same time, or the two cannot rule at the same time. By nature, that is a law that nobody can override or supersede. You follow? So you can't ask the Caucasian and his gods and his spirits to help you, because they cannot help you by nature. You follow? They have to destroy you or be adverse to you by nature, or they don't exist. Because for them to help you is to help bring the summer cycle into being. You follow? Which is ultimately to destroy it. So once you start to understand these simple concepts in nature, it helps you to understand who your natural enemy is. Not because I said so, not because Elijah Muhammad said so, not because Dr. Malachi Atum said so, right? And not because, other than the fact that he done knocked us over the head for the past 500 years and some niggas still don't get it. He's your natural enemy. And what we have to do as Nuwabians, by first adhering to the doctrine, because that's the first thing you gotta do, is to get niggas to listen, because we don't want to listen to nothing that's for our benefit, on our behalf. First, as you adhere to it and you start to practice it, you start to realize the importance of informing our people who their enemy is, because we don't realize who our natural enemy. And our natural enemy and his helpers who look like us. And that's why the master teacher made a concentrated effort to educate us on the black devil, because he's more dangerous than the Caucasian. Because I know when a Caucasian comes to sit in here who I'm looking at. But when y'all come in here and we sit down, I don't know, because y'all look the same. Right? They're coming in with dashikis on. They come in with Bob Marley shirts on, black, red, and green wristband, dreads, locks, naturals. Right? They're coming here looking just like us and be totally against who and what we are. Now, some of it do it intentionally. Some of them know what they're here for. They become one with who and what they are. You follow? So they're coming here and intentionally disrupt the class. But then you have those who don't know because of the spell of ignorance, spiritual ignorance, right? The lack of racial identity. And they're coming here and say, well, can't we all just get along? Isn't it about all of us loving each other? You follow? They'll look at you and say, and they don't know. They feel that they're doing the right thing. They'll sabotage what we're doing because they're ignorant and don't know, right? Or don't know or don't have any education on the true laws of nature and how two extremes cannot coexist. This is what Marcus Garvey was trying to tell our people. You follow? He was trying to tell our people that we cannot rule here. The master teacher wrote a book on Marcus Garvey. Anybody know the master teacher? He rarely wrote a positive book about a person. If he wrote a book about a person, he was destroying him. Like this guy here. You follow? But he wrote a book about Marcus Garvey for a reason. Marcus Garvey was an anomaly. He was something that they didn't expect. So much so an anomaly that his own people went against him. They went against him because they said, well, I went to this Ivy League school. Or I went to this school. And I was educated by this. And I was educated by that. I went through the Caucasian school systems. So I should know. We have the best method of helping our people. This is what W. Du Bois and them other guys said. They were called the talented what? Tenth. They had elected themselves or chosen themselves to be the best intellectual minds of our people. Why? Because they were educated by the Caucasian, by the Tamils. And then you have this brother that comes out of Jamaica, right? Barely can speak English well, right? Not educated by them, and galvanizes our people. Pull our people together, and don't let them fool you. This brother had millions of black people in the UNIA. Go look it up. Millions, right? He had a military. Look it up. He had a guard, an armed guard aspect of the nation, right? He had our people investing in stocks in the 1920s, the early 1900s, when you had black people that didn't know what a stock was other than livestock, right? He owned ships. He didn't just talk about going back home. He organized enough to get the ships to take us back home. Broken a deal with Liberia to have our own land in Liberia. Go back and go do your research. All without their education. You see, he wasn't somebody that they had handpicked to be over our people. He was grown by nature. You follow? He was a reaction by nature to pull something to pull a being out of our people that will help guide and lead our people. This is what nature does. This supersedes his laws. This supersedes what he thinks is supposed to happen. But because he had a couple of niggas that had faith in his laws and how they felt things should be, right? They made derogatory statements and ultimately helped to bring down Marcus Garvey. Did you know that there were Nubian black people that went to the Justice Department, right, and petitioned against Marcus Garvey? Black people that did it. They went and said, you need to stop him. He's disrupting what we're doing with our people. You follow? So that's the dangerous one. That's the most dangerous kind of devil to deal with. And those are his helpers. You follow? So there must be a separation from that mentality and a separation from the ultimate extreme devil, the Tamil. These are the laws that are applied or applicable by nature.
My idea of a disciple, my disciples are brothers, all these young boys are being taught to act just like me and go out and just teach. If he's introverted, I don't need him. I don't need quiet people sitting in the class absorbing knowledge. That's heavy. I want people that's going to take it in and go out and teach it. If they're not going to teach it, we're wasting our time.